Don Prince.
So, guys, how long have you guys been full-time RV?
About a year.
About a year. Okay. So, since your time in the RV, what have you found to be the biggest challenge of living in an RV?
Well, none since we got the fifth wheel, but when we had a tongue pull, it wasn't meant for more than two people. It was a little crowded, bumping into each other.
A little crowded, bumping into each other. I got it. So, is there anything that you believe that you couldn't do in your fifth wheel that you did in your stick and brick?
Absolutely not.
Okay. What do you think the biggest differences is for you living in an RV versus a stick and brick? Do you find any?
No,
We're
not
just
really.
as comfortable.
Just as comfortable.
Just as comfortable.
And see, that's the consensus of a lot of people who actually get out and live this life, that there's really not much that my fifth wheel or my RV can't offer me that my stick and brick did. So, what do you guys think about full-time RV life in a whole? Do you think it's for everybody, or do you think it's for individual situations?
I would be more inclined to say in individual situations. I don't think everybody would be able to do it.
Okay, what was the biggest reason, the determining factor, what caused you guys to become full-time RVers?
We sold our house and we didn't have anything but an RV.
Well, that's one way to do it.
And then taxes, because those have skyrocketed.
And you guys live here in West Texas, and West Texas are a little pricey on the taxes, what I've been hearing. So, okay.
But we love camping, and we like the weekend camping, the weeks out. And when we thought about doing it full time, we just related back to our experiences and the enjoyment of being free, so to speak.
Yeah, I can relate with that.
We enjoy it.
Okay. So, yeah, the whole thing about, becoming a nomad and living full-time in an RV, a lot of people think, that these things are not meant to live in. Well, in some cases are not. But, if you have an abundance of love for the outdoors and things like that, living in an RV is really just a means to an end, because you're really not living in the RV. You're living out of the RV, and you're living and experiencing your life. Right. So, what is the best thing you guys feel that it's been for you? Let me rephrase that question. What has been the best part about being a full-time RVer for you?
To me, the neighbors.
The neighbors?
We've got wonderful neighbors. They're good people.
Mm-hmm.
We all have the same interest.
Okay. Now, have you guys come to figure out this realization back when you lived in your brick and mortar, stick and brick, however you want to, terminalize what this is? Do you find that your neighbors, when you're RVing, are actually more your kind of people than the stick and brick people?
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Even not just your neighbors, like the random weekend camper that might camp next to you. You feel like they're more down to earth kind of people, and you have more in common with them.
They seem to be friendlier.
Exactly. And see, that's what we've come across in our travels. Is most people who are actually full-time RVing, some of the sweetest people you'll ever meet under the sun. I mean, they'll do anything for you, but it's just really, it's a sense of community that you're probably not used to being a full-time RVer versus what you had in your normal stick and brick.
Right.
Okay. So what kind of rig do you guys have?
Rushmore, Crossroads, fifth wheel.
Okay. What size is it?
40.
40? Okay. So you guys definitely love the 40-foot fifth wheel over the little travel trailer.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I guess you probably did gain quite a bit of square footage in there.
We did.
So do you feel, honestly, that everything that you have as far in your RV, as far as like your appliances and living quarters and everything, do you find that sufficient being a full-time RVer?
Oh, yeah.
Definitely.
So what is your biggest pet peeve of living in the RV versus living in a stick and brick?
Wife not having a bathtub to kick back and relax in sometimes.
Yep. Then they do have some that have bathtubs in them nowadays, guys. Just depends on how much money you want to get in on DD.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I mean, there's really nothing you miss versus living in the RV versus a stick and brick.
No.
No.
Okay. Now, see, ours is the whole water thing. If you're off grid, that's the thing that we come to find be the most challenging thing, as when you're boondocking and not having hookups,
Right.
and you got to have a certain amount of water that's in your tanks. Now that where it becomes very, very tricky as a full-time RVer.
Right.
So I would say, what do you guys predict yourself, or where do you guys see this heading for you guys? Longer years of full-time RV?
Definitely.
Yes.
No foreseeable future going back to a stick and brick?
No.
So is there anything in your RV you would change?
Not really.
Come to find it's pretty much set up the way you liked it from the day one.
Oh, yes.
Yep.
Awesome.
Yep.
So, do you have any horror stories from the time you've been full-time RVing? Something that just did not go your way?
The horror
The
stories.
terrible, awful day
The
in
horror
RV
story
life.
started when we were just camping.
Oh,
We
come
got
on.
locked in our camper.
Well, we
We got
got
locked out of the camper.
Yeah, and see, here's the thing about the locked out of the camper. I locked my wife out of the camper when I had the set of keys and I wasn't there.
Oh no, we were there. We were there. But right down here on another site, we got locked in the camper. Couldn't get out. Then the next weekend, we came out and the electricity went out Memorial Day weekend, and it was hot. It was terrible. We ended up going home, leaving the camper here. The following weekend, we got hooked up and went in there and turned the water on. The water was spraying up underneath the cabinets, and so that was 2 weekends of replacing hoses and all this other stuff. Then we get locked out. We traded it. We sold it. Got another RV. That was the end of that.
See, that's the good thing about RV life, folks. Well, this one's being a piece of crap. I'm done dealing with it. You're gonna take it and trade it like a pair of socks.
That's it.
Go find you something else more inhabitable at that point. So that's typical RV life. The problems like that, they arise. And you just gotta kind of laugh it off. Yeah, it irritates the hell out of you when it's happening, but at the end of the day, you guys wouldn't change it for the world, right?
That's right.
It's I come to find that living full-time RV, it's really just a lifestyle choice. It's a way to live free, experience, and live your best life. That's how I feel about it personally.
That's it.
That it's one of the most amazing things out here, but I don't want people to be under the misconception that there's never bad days.
I'm sure there is.
Hi, I'm Zach. I'm 38 years old and I live full-time in my 2006 Thor Hurricane Class A motorhome.
All right, Zach. So, what's your feelings on full-time life? How long you been full-timing?
Just over a month now. It was a lot more than I'd expected, but I'm glad that I've taken this time to experience living in the RV full-time.
Yeah. Now, Zach's also an avid drag racer, and I guess he got to make very good use of his RV this weekend. Got to actually tow his race car to the track and spend some time at the track this weekend, and unfortunately, he didn't come back with a big purse.
It happens more often than I want.
Exactly. So, do you find that you're missing anything by living in an RV versus a stick and brick house?
I have everything in this that I would have in my house. I have a yard,
Good neighbors.
great neyeighbors. I can cook. I clean in here.
Yeah. And yes, this is one of those RVs that does have a restroom. Well,
wouldn't have it if I didn't.
that's the question a lot of people ask full-time RVers. Do you got a shower? Do you have a bathroom? No, we don't have any of that stuff. We go poop in the field.
Use the hose.
But so is RVing, full-time RV lifestyle, something you maybe wish you would have dabbled in a little sooner in life?
I think this is a good opportunity for me at the age of 38 because I've lived in a house all my life, owned a camper or a motorhome, so now I get to experience this. So I think I got the best of both worlds. So.
Okay. Now, what is one thing do you feel that is your favorite aspect for full-time RV?
You meet a lot of nice people, you get a lot of scenery changes, new
Yes.
campers come and go.
Yeah. So yeah, in RVing, you become a very big community, whether you know the person or not. After a couple days of people being next to each other in an RV park, you get to meet new people, and you actually make long-lasting friendships this way. That's one of the things that my wife and I both love about full-time RVing is all the incredible people that we've met that share the enthusiasm for being out full-time RVing, and just the general lifestyle and the freedom of being out to adventure and live the best life that you can live. So one of the things, Zach, I was going to ask you, what is your hopes and a destination point that you would really love to take your RV to?
Being 38 years old, I'd like to travel the East Coast.
The East Coast.
Hit Pennsylvania, go up to Maine, eat some fresh seafood.
Okay.
And just travel a little bit that way.
Okay. Now, there's a lot of people that think that people who live full-time in RVs are a irresponsible person for living in an RV. What's your take on that?
I feel like you have to have just as much responsibility to take care of your home here as you would a normal house. So
exactly. And you know, a lot of people think that people who are traveling in an RV are not responsible individuals and productive members of society, which, you know, I have a big problem with that myself. I think a lot of people who live in RVs are usually first responders, people who are willing to go help the people who are less fortunate get out. And you know, and during the crisis we've all had with this COVID-19 kind of thing, you know, it's made a lot of people essential, and essential workers are, a lot of them are living in these RVs, and a lot of them were full-time RVers to begin with, and we go where we're needed. So personally, I think we were a little bit more on the responsible side during this whole pandemic, but you know, that's another road. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole, as he's a first responder and I'm in transportation, and I had to make sure you guys had food. So anyway, if there's one thing about RV life that you could change, is there anything you would change about your current situation living in an RV?
I don't think so. I think I didn't know what to expect at first, and met you guys, and Jack seemed to help me down the right path and get what I need.
And that's exactly what we were talking about with the whole RV community. We can all be complete strangers, but we come together as a community to help one another out, help a new person out who's new to RVing. And yeah, this is part of the reason for this little video, and this documentary part of this video is documenting all walks of time frame of people being full-time, as little as a month and a half that Zach here has been full-time, up to people who's been full-time for years and years and years. And I seem to think everybody has the same thing, that they wish they would have started a full-time RV life a little sooner, and that this sense of community in the RV world is just amazing.
I'm learning.
Yes.
I am learning.
Okay. So, is there anything particular about your rig that you would change? Other than your window issue you're having right now.
You can always want for something bigger and better, but right now I just got it in February, so.
Yeah. So you don't think you're missing out on anything by living in a motorhome or a RV altogether that you would have in your home instead?
No, absolutely not.
Yeah. Except for not having to mow their lawn.
That's right.
And pay all the taxes for a piece of property.
That's right.
Now, do you find, commuting, because you're one of the commuters, you don't work online, do you find commuting from an RV park any different than commuting from home?
No.
No.
Absolutely not.
It's same here. Do you, per se, see yourself staying a full-time RVer for a pretty good length of time at this moment currently?
I hope so.
Hope so.
This was something I wanted to do when I retired and travel, but
it's kind of nice being able to do it before you retired and get out a little earlier and see the things while you're still young enough. And this is why me and Jill decided to take this leap and become full-time RVers as well, because we didn't want to wait till we were actually retired, because you're not promised tomorrow. You don't know what your health is going to be by the time you're 60, 65 years old, or hell, the way things are going now in life, most people will work until they're 70, 75, 80 years old. And unfortunately, most people, when they get to this age group, and they quit working, a lot of people would unfortunately pass away and they don't get to live out their dream. So I was definitely a big fan of taking off early in life and just kind of living our adventure. So how does your family and friends, what do they think, or what do they say to you? Any negativity from them about what you're doing?
Absolutely not. They are very supportive. I think it's kind of cool that I have a lake and stay in my camper all the time and camp full time.
Right.
Hi, how you doing? I'm Joe Hoffert.
And we're here at our campsite here in Texas.
So, Joe, how long have you been a full-time RVer?
Full-time, 4 years.
4 years. What do you think about full-time
I love
RV
it.
life?
Absolutely love it.
Okay. Is there any real reason why you guys elected to live in an RV versus a brick and mortar?
Like so many people, I think it was taxes and upkeep. My husband drives a truck. He's still on the truck. I'm retired, and we had 1.5 acres at our house. And here in Texas, you start yard work in February, and it doesn't quit till December. So that's part of it. Here, they take care of our lawns for us, and we don't have to worry about all that.
Awesome.
And the taxes, cost was a big,
So do you find that living in an RV is any different than living in a stick and brick?
I think it's so much more relaxed. You have to, if you decide to make that change and live in an RV, at some point you have to remember that you're not on vacation 24/7, 365. It's harder to get those gotta do things done because you think, oh, I'll do that this weekend. That's the only drawback, is the self-discipline it takes to carry on your life.
I agree with you 100%, because when you get out here and you start living full-time RV life, you do get in that situation where you feel like you're on vacation. You'll eat everything, you'll go out to every fancy restaurant, and before you know it, you've got a big long list of things you need to get done in the RV that's not getting done because you're on vacation mode.
Exactly. I caught myself today because I was thinking about, used to, every November, my husband would go hunting and I would start working on our taxes. My taxes are still sitting in there. It's like I was telling myself this morning, April's going to be here.
Yes. So, with living full-time in an RV, what is your biggest thing you dislike about living full-time in an RV versus living in a stick and brick?
I think sometimes for me it's the things aren't readily available. Like you're always at a campground to where you're farther away from town. I was used to being in town to where if I need to go to the store, it was like, jump in the car and you could honestly be gone, 30 minutes and get what you need and get back. Here you have to travel a little bit, or it's either, in my world, I'm big Amazon Prime. And I think that's why we were talking earlier, and I told you that if I could have things droned in out here, that would be my perfect life,
So have you guys actually went to utilize any BLM land out in the desert areas or free camping?
No, you know what? I mean, we thought about that, but that's just a different climate than what I really want. I don't want to go someplace where, I'm going to have to shovel snow, or that I'm going to have to fight scorpions off every day. And the rattlesnakes. Bad enough here.
Exactly. So, tell us about what your guys' RV is. What kind of RV do you have?
It's a 2018, and it's a Coachman, and it's a fifth wheel. It's got the upstairs bedroom. We have a front living room. It's a, I've never really figured out what the square footage of it is. I was talking to my sister, and she said, it sounds about the same size as our rental that we have in Florida for, every winter they go there. And she said, it sounds like it's about 400 square feet. And I think in most campgrounds, there's a limit on the size. So this one's like 40 foot. So, you're looking.
Yeah, most campgrounds.
380.
Yeah, most campgrounds do have that stipulation. It's harder to find something sometimes if you're over 40 feet long.
Yeah.
So with living full-time in the RV, do you feel like you're missing anything by not living in a stick and brick anymore?
Not a thing.
Okay, awesome.
The people that you meet when you are full-timing, it's funny, it's just like this little gazebo that we're sitting in. It looked like a barn raising. Everybody in here came up here and they put this up for us. It's anything, they'll see me, because I'm a little bit older, as you can tell from the snow on the roof. It's like, oh, Miss Jo, you can't do that. I have to do that for you. You know, there's the willingness of the people that not only are full-timing, but just campers, people that are out here on the weekend. They're different attitude than it is than living in town at a stick and brick. And I think some of that goes back to like what we were talking about is you feel more like you're all the time on vacation.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay. So if you could change one thing about RV life to make it better for you, what would it be?
You know, I can't think of a thing. Not really. Other than, like I said, you know, if Amazon would run in my groceries, I'd be happy.
Hi, I'm Jack. I'm 30 years old and I have full-time RV right here in my travel trailer.
Okay, Jack. So how long have you been full-time?
I've been full-timing about 2 years as of this month.
Okay. What got you into full-time RV life?
So my dad, when I was growing up, worked construction a lot. So he traveled all over the place and he was in a fifth wheel while we were in our house in Pennsylvania. And I'd go visit him during the summers or while being in the Navy, go hang out with him in North Carolina. And I decided from there it was a giant life change for me. The final thing that caused me to decide this was I like the option of being able to be extremely mobile. For example, while I was living in New Orleans, we had hurricane season between May and November, so I didn't want to risk having to leave half of my stuff behind when I could load all of it into my travel trailer and take it all with me.
Okay. Well, so you mentioned you're in the Navy.
Yep.
How long have you been in the Navy?
This upcoming September, be 13 years.
Okay. Thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Also, so do you find that you're missing anything by living in an RV, or do you think that your quality of life is actually better now that you live in an RV?
I would say that my quality of life has drastically increased living in an RV.
So you wouldn't change anything about your decision to go full-time RV?
Not at all.
Okay.
Except for maybe the size of my rig.
Size of your rig. Well, that's just the way things kind of happen in RV life. You think you're happy at one size rig and you always want to move to something else, you know. It's like different variations of t-shirts. You want to try every one of them. If you got something catchy you like, you want to try them on and see what's up.
Yeah.
But so would you suggest anybody else live full-time RV?
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. And that's what me and Jill say, that we absolutely love living full-time in an RV. One of the greatest decisions we ever made, and we kind of wish we'd have done it sooner. So, is there anything that you miss about living in a stick and brick house versus your RV?
Absolutely not.
Absolutely not. And that seems to be the consensus of a lot of full-time RVers once they've been out here, is they're really not lagging or missing out on anything of having a stick and brick home. So, have you found anything that's been super challenging transitioning in from stick and brick over to a RV?
I'd have to say deciding on what to keep, what to donate to Goodwill or any other foundation.
Mm-hmm.
But for the most part, no, not at all.
Did you find anything hard about really RVing other than having to mess with and keeping a reminder of yourself that you don't have an abundance of water sometimes if you're boondocking, or you got to make sure you dump your tank so you don't have the overflow and terrible awful inside of your RV?
No. The only thing that was shocking to me was the initial, like, having to buy all the accessories that you need. For example, your sewer hoses, water hoses, depending on the length that you're going to need, the treatments. But once I got over, like, the sticker shock fear of it, everything's relatively about the same price as, for me, living in an apartment.
Mm-hmm. So do you find being able to travel and go places just more of a luxury in life?
Absolutely.
Okay. Is there any place that you would like to go or be stationed at, since you're still currently in the military? So you'll actually be at this this RV park where we're currently at for a little while.
Yeah.
Is there any place that you would like to ultimately get out to and visit with your RV?
Alaska.
Alaska is one of those key places a lot of people want to try to get up there, and I suggest somebody, if you've never been to Alaska, you need to try to get there at least once. But I will suggest, if you're going to go to Alaska and you're going to take an RV, yeah, better make sure that thing's up to par, because the roads up through Canada and up into Alaska, they're not the best, and they will beat your RV to death.
Plus, it's kind of cold in the winter.
Yes, it's definitely a summer destination.
Oh yeah. So, I mean, I've been up there a few times, spending the night in hotels and stuff, and just thought the scenery was beautiful. And if I ever got the opportunity during the summer, I'd try to spend the summer up there.
Now, do you think that, which I already know the answer to this question here, but a lot of our viewers might want to know, do you think it's premature for someone your age to be a full-time RVer?
Absolutely not. I wish I would have done this about 6 or 7 years before I even started.
Now, a lot of people get the stereotype that people who live in RVs are kind of irresponsible and not being productive members of society, which, you know, my argument is, are you full of crap? Because, you know, we have a nice young man here that's in the military. He's still serving his country. He's still living his life the way he wants to when he's not being called in and doing his thing with the military, but he's still being able to live his quality of life and living his best life by traveling in an RV. So I have a problem with people that think that people are being irresponsible being a full-time RVer. So you don't believe that it's being irresponsible being a full-time RVer?
Not at all.
Okay.
There's a lot of people I work with who are actually jealous that I have the freedoms that I do with my travel trailer and the ability to move everywhere.
What is your favorite thing about full-time RV?
For me, it would just be the availability of being able to pick up on a weekend and move somewhere else and have different scenery or different options at any time.
Okay. So, what is your favorite thing about your current rig?
That is a really good question.
As he's contemplating buying a different rig right now, so I'm throwing this at him.
Yeah, of course you are. I don't know, I'd have to say the overall layout, because it's the rear entertainment floor plan. So
I don't even think we actually discussed what kind of rig you have. What do you have currently?
Right now I'm in a 2015 Jayco 29 REKS, and I've been in this one since March of last year. I downsized from a King of the Road Grand Marquis 1996 fifth wheel that my dad had left to me, to see if I really wanted to get into this life. And I made the determination after being in that for about 8 months that I wanted to do this, and started looking for RVs.
So if anybody had any questions about whether or not they should do this, what would your answer be?
I would say that it's definitely a lifestyle that's not set out for everyone, but it pays off in the long run, in my honest opinion. If you are unsure that this is something you'd want to do, you could always rent a fifth wheel or a travel trailer from a company, spend a weekend or a week at a campground, see how you would adapt to the lifestyle.
Exactly. See, that's one of the things we suggest too. If somebody's never really camped before, that they ought to rent an RV. If they really consider being full-time RVers, that they should either rent or go camping. And if you do rent this RV, rent it for more than a day or a weekend. Rent it for a few weeks, go to an RV place, and then make your commute from that RV park or the destination you want to be, to see if you're willing to make the extra drive and the extra effort to actually live and travel in a full-time in an RV. Because everything's going to be different. You're never going to have the same drive to work every day, especially if you get to travel around like most people do who are full-time RVers. You're going to have different scenery. You're going to have different ways to work. If you have to work outside the home, if you're fortunate enough to have an online job and you don't have to do any commuting, you're telecommuting, it really doesn't matter. But for those of you guys out there who are not working on the internet, working online, which this young man here, he does something for the Navy that requires him to be in this area, so he's not technically working online. He actually goes to an office here, so he does have an actual commute. And how is that for you when you get to different places and you got to learn your way around?
So I've only been full-timing at 2 locations. The first one was New Orleans, and the base that we have down there has a RV park. So my commute was about a minute and 30-second walk to work.
Oh, okay. Well, then I guess he didn't get that.
And then when I got here, it's about a 25 to 45-minute commute, depending on the traffic.
Okay.
So
We apologize for the wind noise, guys. The wind has picked up crazy here since we started this video. But so if you had any advice for anyone who's considering looking for their first rig, what would you say to them?
Definitely do your homework. It took me probably the 8 months that I was in that fifth wheel, because I had already made that decision to stay into this lifestyle. I just didn't have a truck that could pull the fifth wheel, which is another issue I'm running into right now with looking at this other rig. Make sure that you are aware of the sizes of everything that you have, so that you might be aware to downsize as well.
All right. Well, Jack, I want to thank you for joining us here today and giving your insight on what it's like to be a full-time RVer and your take on RV life. And it's definitely nice to hear from the younger generation who are out here doing it. So it doesn't really matter if you're young or old. This is a lifestyle that can accommodate all ages. So next time, guys, this is Tony. We're rolling with the Bolins. I want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. And if nothing else, come over and check us out on Facebook and Instagram. And we'll talk to you guys down the road. Bye.